ॐ दक्षिणास्य समारम्भा शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमा अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्ता स्मर्या गुरुपरम्परा श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। परिज्ञानाश्रम श्रीगुरुशङ्कर परिज्ञानाश्रम शङ्कर सद्गुरु केशववामन कृष्ण पाण्डुरङ्ग आनन्द परिज्ञान गुरु सद्योजात शङ्कर सद्गुरु गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम् यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तं न विदुःसुराः सुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः. So now we have completed the first two Shatkam, that is first two groups of chapters of 6. So the first Shatkam or the group of 6 is the first chapter to the 6th chapter, and the second Shatkam, that is the second group of 6 chapters, is the 7th chapter to the 12th chapter, and that means we have completed almost 2/3 of Bhagavad Gita in the most basic form actually. And now from today we'll be going to the Antima Shatkam, or the final group of 6 chapters. And how is Bhagavad Gita actually designed by Lord Krishna and also Vyasacharya, Bhagavan Vyasacharya? See, since Bhagavad Gita is the very saram of Vedanta, since it is a very central teaching of Vedanta, the teaching method or the methodology of giving this knowledge of Vedanta Sara, Vedanta Saram, or the central teaching of Vedanta, Bhagwan follows the same order. Bhagwan Krishna follows the same order that is followed in the teaching of Vedanta by the Upanishads. Now, first, let us have a brief review of what we saw in the first Shatkam of 6 chapters and in the second Shatkam of the next 6 chapters. If we remember now, we have to understand that the first 6 chapters, especially from the second chapter onwards, of course, second chapter itself was, the very summary of what is to come. But if you take third, fourth, fifth, and sixth chapters, which really talked about the content of the first 6 chapters. Now, what did the first 6 chapters of Bhagavad Gita talk about? It talked about number one, Jiva Swarupam. What is Jiva actually? What is this individual Jiva? And there, in the first 6 chapters, Bhagwan Krishna explains that the Jiva is nothing but Pratyag Atma. What is Pratyag Atma? That consciousness, that Sakshi Chaitanya Atma, which is the Dehi or the indweller in every body, that is the real you. That is you, the Jiva. Whereas this body mind sense complex, which you have been wrongly identifying with as yourself, is not the real you. It is what is called as the Anatma. It is what is called as the Upadhi. And therefore, you, the Jiva Swarupa, is in actuality Paramarthikataya, in the absolute way, if you have to be explained, you, the Jiva, are nothing but that Sakshi Chaitanya Atma. Rest of the things, starting from the Sthula Shariram, Sukshma Shariram, Karana Shariram, the Chidabhasa, which I'll be explaining now in this 13th chapter, Ahankara, all these things are nothing but the upadhis or the attributes, and they are anatma. What is the meaning of anatma? That which is not the atma is called as anatma. So, this consciousness, which all the time is available to me, Anubhavataya, it is available to me as what? Aham asmi, aham asmi, aham, aham, aham iti. That constant availability or constant anubhuti of I, the knower, the knowing consciousness, that Sakshi Chaitanya Atma, that Pratyagatma, you are. And the rest of the things which you believed yourself to be is not the real you. It is only a vyavaharika satyam. That means what? That reality which is only an experiential reality. Your body, mind, sense complex is a mere experiential reality. It does not have an independent existence of its own. What keeps it going, what lends consciousness and sentience to this Anatma is nothing but you, the real you, the Sakshi Chaitanya Atma. So, how do you understand yourself to be that Sakshi Chaitanya Atma and not the body mind sense complex, for which Bhagwan Krishna taught this with a prakriya or modality called as Atma Anatma Viveka. What is Atma and Atma Viveka? That the clarity of discriminating between what I am, the Atma, and what I am not, the Anatma. This is called as the Atma Anatma Prakriya, or the methodology of explaining the real Swarupam of Jiva by using this particular methodology called as Atma Anatma Viveka, which was very beautifully given by Lord Krishna in the second chapter between the 12th verse and the 25th verse, where he called the Atma as the Dehi and the Anatma as the Deha, and gave the differences between the Dehi Atma and the Deha Anatma. And the differences which he talked about in all these verses was what? Atma is Nityam, Anatma Deha is Anityam. Atma is Nirvikari, Anatma body mind sense complex is Vikari. Atma is one and only, whereas the Anatma or the Stula Sukshma Karana Sharira, what we call as Karya Karana Sanghata, is Aneka. And lastly, Bhagwan said that Atma is Satyam, Anatma is Mithya. Okay. Of course, in between, he also talked about Atma being a Karta, a Bhokta, and the body mind sense complex Anatma always being the Karta and Bhokta, which was very clearly talked about in the fourth chapter and in the fifth chapter. And then how what was, so this is the second thing that was talked about in the first six chapters. First is what? Jiva Swarupa. By Atma Anatma Viveka, Jiva Swarupa as nothing but I am the Pratyagatma, the consciousness, and the body mind sense complex, which I think I am till now, is not the real me. This was the first point that was discussed by Lord Krishna in the first six chapters, Jiva Swarupa. Now, to understand this Atma Anatma Viveka, to really assimilate this knowledge of I am the Atma, I am not the Anatma body, mind, sense complex. What is it that is needed? That which is needed is the preparation of the mind. because this is a very subtle thing and is the preparation of the mind that is necessary. So, what was the preparatory step which was prescribed by Lord Krishna for preparing the mind, clearing the mind of all its malas, what is called as Chitta Shuddhi? He gave Karma Yoga as the very sadhana for Chitta Shuddhi. So the first one is Atma Anatma Vivekataya, the real Swarupam of Jiva. And Lord Krishna knows that we are not really prepared to assimilate and understand this. So Bhagwan Krishna gave us a sadhana in the form of Karma Yoga for the sake of Chitta Shuddhi. And what is Karma Yoga? Ishvara Arpana Taya Karma Kartavyam Ishvara Prasada Buddhya Karma Phala Svikritihi. And by this, Krishna said, your ahankara, your attachment or identification or entanglement with the karma as aham karomi iti, this is my karma iti, that kind of an attachment to the karma and also the karma phala gets diluted. Raga dveshas get diluted. My real idea there is to only offer all my actions to Ishvara. Ishvara means what? Here, my Ishta Devata. Here still, Bhagwan at the level of sadhana of Karma Yoga talks about individual's Ishta Devata. So, what was the sadhana prescribed for understanding this Atma and Atma Viveka? It was Karma Yoga. And what is the phalam of Karma Yoga? Chitta Shuddhi. That means my mind is cleared of all the grossness that is there, because it is the same mind which is the instrument in understanding the Laukika Jnanam of the outside world. It is the same mind which is the same instrument which is used to understand this subtle knowledge about oneself. There are no two different minds, no two different intellects. It's one single intellect. Our intellects are grossified by years and lives of using it for the sake of external transactions. And our gross minds have to be purified, made subtle enough so that this knowledge is understood. Atma Anatma Viveka. Therefore, what was taken as the sadhana was the Karma Yoga. Thirdly, Bhagwan said that Atma Anatma Viveka a guru can give. You can have Chitta Shuddhi. Tadviddi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya. Go to a guru and get this knowledge, he said. But then, to go to the guru, ask for this knowledge, and have the readiness to accept this knowledge, understand this knowledge. What do I need? I need my self effort. I need Shraddha. What is Shraddha? Shraddha means that strong acceptance of the most possible thing. That is Shraddha. Don't we live all our lives on Shraddha? Isn't it? Because tomorrow sun is going to rise. That is our Shraddha. Why? Because that is the most possible thing that can happen tomorrow morning. Right? So what is my Shraddha? That all these millions of years, sun has risen in the mornings. That is the most probable that thing that is what can happen. And I trust and believe in that most possible thing that can happen. This is Shraddha. And whatever the Guru is telling me, and whatever the Guru is revealing from the Shastra, is the most possible thing that can happen. It cannot go wrong. And therefore, the trust in this most possible and probable thing of this knowledge being given by the Guru is real. And I can trust it. This is Shraddha. To have Shraddha, it is my personal effort. It is in me, it is my attitude of Shraddha. I should make an effort to go to the Guru, ask for this knowledge. I should be willing to do the Karma Yoga for the sake of Chitta Shuddhi. Bhagwan may tell me Karma Yoga is important. Karma Yoga does not mean social service. Please understand this. Karma Yoga means every action that I do throughout the day, I do it with the acceptance of Ishvara by my side. And with the constant Anusmaranam, I offer all my actions to Bhagwan, Ishvara. And then this karma yoga, following this sadhana, where I have my swaprayatna also. Without swaprayatna, it is not possible. That is why in the sixth chapter, when it comes to exposing one's prepared intellect to this jnanam, getting it via shravanam from shastra, guru mukhena shastra shravanam, then mananam, mulling over it to make this knowledge doubt free, nididhyasanam, constant contemplation over it. This is Jnana Yoga. Therefore, the preparedness to learn from a guru, the preparedness to follow the sadhana required for Chitta Shuddhi, the preparedness to be a Jnana Yogi and be a contemplator, and the preparedness to have Shraddha, acceptance of the most possible and probable thing that the Shastra and Guru are explaining. This is nothing but self effort. So, the third point which is stressed in the first six chapters is nothing but self effort. Sometime, like in fourth chapter, he says, Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya. Go to a guru. To go to a guru, I must make that effort. Correct? Have Shraddha. Shraddhavan labhate jnanam. Uddharet atmanatmanam. Na atmanam avasadhayet. Self effort. Also, in all these six chapters, the three things that are talked about are Jiva Swarupa, the sadhana that is necessary to understand this Jiva Swarupa, and the self effort. And what is the Vedantic way of teaching? What is the scriptural way of teaching the Jiva Swarupa? It is by Atma Anatma Viveka. And therefore, from the jargon or from the Shastra Paribhasha, the first six chapters are called as Tvam Pada Vichara. Tvam pada. What is the meaning of tvam? You, the individual. I, the individual. That is how our scriptures explain whatever is explained by the Upanishads is tvam pada vichara, tat pada vichara, mahavakya vichara. The same pattern is followed by Lord Krishna here. So the first six chapters are called as the Tvam Pada Viveka, or understanding the Tvam Pada Artha, Tvam Padartha chapters. These are the first six chapters. Now, what about the next six chapters? 7th chapter to 12th chapter. You will find, and you must have observed also, that there is a sudden change in the gear from the sixth chapter to the seventh chapter. If you have been closely observing and following, Krishna totally changes the way the whole thing is presented. There is a drastic change in the way it is explained, the point of view of explanation. So there is a total change, because the 7th to 12th chapter talk about three other things. The 7th chapter onwards, they talk about Ishvara, or God. Ishvara Swarupa. What was the first six chapter? Jiva Swarupa Pradhana, or Tvam Padartha Pradhanam. Whereas the second six chapters from 7th chapter onwards talk about Ishvara Swarupam. That is called as the Tat Padartha by our scriptures. Tat means that. Tvam means you. Tat means that Ishvara or that Brahman. Okay. So now the chapter is talking about Tat Pada Vichara, Swarupam of Ishvara. How does Lord Krishna talk about the Swarupam of Ishvara here? Starting from the 7th chapter up till the 11th chapter, Bhagwan talks about the Swarupam of Ishvara as Jagat Karanam Ishvara, Jagat Karanam Brahma. Therefore, the very first 2-3 verses of the 7th chapter are what? Paraprakriti Aparaprakriti. Bhagwan says, I am the maker and the material of this entire universe. I am the very abhinna nimitta upadana karanam of this entire universe. And how do I manifest myself as this entire universe? Apara Prakriti or Maya or Prakriti manifests itself as all the names and forms here. And I, the Paraprakriti or Atma Swarupa or that consciousness, completely pervade this entire Namarupatmakam Prapancham. Namarupatmakam Jagat. So who am I, Arjuna? I am that Tat Pada which is explained by Vedanta. And who am I as the Tat Pada? I am that Ishvara, Brahman, who is nothing but the Jagat Karanam. What is my Swarupam? Apara Prakriti Rupena, the entire material world, Vyavaharika Prapancha of names and forms. I am the Apara Prakriti. As the consciousness, existence, Paraprakriti, I pervade the entire universe and give sustenance and life to this whole universe. Therefore, the entire universe arises me. I am the Utpatti Karanam. The entire Jagat is existing in me, Sthiti Karanam. And the entire Jagat at the time of Pralaya is resolved into me, Laya Karanam. So I, as the very Jagat Karanam Brahma, the very material and maker of this entire universe, I am the very Adhishtanam, the very support of this universe in which the entire Jagat arises, exists, and resolves. Therefore, what is my Swarupam, Arjuna? I am Jagat Karanam Brahma. And what is that Jagat Karana Brahma? Nothing but my para prakriti. I, the para prakriti, is the actual swarupam of this jagat. And what is this para prakriti? That is nothing but that atma which I talked about in Tvam Padartha Vichara. So therefore, here Tat Pada Vichara is done, Ishvara Swarupa Vichara is done. And what is the prakriya used here? Jagat Karanatvena. Ishvara or Brahman is presented here as Jagat Karanam Brahma, and there is a method called as Adhyaropa Apavada method by which we'll not go into that now in detail, but then Krishna first brings a world or a Jagat, and then using the Jagat as something to be held on to, he proves or he gives his Swarupam as that Paraprakriti, which is the very Otam Protam. The whole Jagat is Mayi Sarvam Idam Protam. This whole Anatma Jagat, this whole Apara Prakriti, which manifests as various names and forms called Jagat, is nothing but that which is woven into me, the Para Prakriti or Atma. So, what is the subject here? Tat Padartha. What is the methodology used here? The methodology is used as it is used in the Upanishads, Jagat Karanam Brahma. And this methodology is called as Adhyaropa Apavada method. Here, Lord Krishna has not gone much more in depth into it, whereas the Upanishads go into depth into this. What is this Adhyaropa Apavada Prakriya by which Ishvara is ultimately seen as that Paraprakriti in spite of the Jagat? Holding on to the Jagat initially as Alambanam, how Ishvara's Swarupam is described by Krishna as I am not affected by this Jagat. The whole Jagat is in me, but I, the Paraprakriti, is not in any way tainted or affected by it. Matsthani sarva bhutani, nacha matsthani bhutani, if you remember the 9th chapter. Maya tatamidam sarvam sutre manigana iva, 7th chapter. Okay, I am the very adhishtanam of this jagat. Entire 7th chapter, 9th chapter, he talks about it. And in the 8th chapter, he gives the possibility of an upasana on this swarupam of Ishvara as Aksharam Brahma. Then, what is the sadhana that is involved here? What is the sadhana which he talks about? The sadhana which he talks about is upasana. So, what was the sadhana in the first 6 chapters? Karma Yoga. What is the sadhana here in understanding Ishvara Swarupam? Upasana Yoga. And Lord divides Upasana Yoga into what? Ekarupa Ishvara Upasana, Vishwarupa Ishvara Upasana, and Arupa or Nirguna Ishvara Upasana, which he makes it very clear in the ultimate or the final chapter of the second Shatkam. And he calls it as the levels of bhakti. What is Upasana? Upasana or bhakti means constant connection with Ishvara at every step. Ishvara becomes that background in my mind. There is an anusmaranam of Lord in everything that I do. As a karma yogi, I offered all my actions to my Ishta Devata and accepted the results as prasada from my Ishta Devata. But here, from the 7th to the 12th chapter, Lord Krishna very, very gradually takes the karma yogi Ekarupa Ishvara Bhakta to become a Jignasu Bhakta, a Vishwarupa Ishvara Bhakta. Vishwarupa Upasanataya, may you worship me. And how does Lord Krishna provide himself as the material for Vishwarupa Bhakti, material for Vishwarupa Upasana? The 10th and the 11th chapters. The 10th and the 11th chapters talk about, or Krishna reveals himself first audio wise in the 10th chapter, enumerating all his glories. In the 11th chapter, it's an audio visual demonstration of what he is, the entire Jagat. He describes, presents, reveals himself for what? For the sake of Upasana. If I see this whole picture as Jagat Karanam Brahma, Ishvara, who's there all over, manifesting the entire universe, it gives me the capacity to hold on to Ekarupa Ishvara or Vishwarupa Ishvara as an alambanam for my upasana. Therefore, what is the second thing that this second Shatkam talks about? Upasana yoga as the sadhana. Then the third one, what is it? And of course, what is the result of Upasana Yoga? What is the result of Upasana? Karma Yoga gave us Chitta Shuddhi. What does, Upasana give me? The capacity to focus my mind, one pointed focus in Ekarupa Ishvara Upasana, in the form of japa, in the form of puja, where my mind is able to concentrate on one particular alambanam, one pointed focus. Then, as I go up the ladder of bhakti and upasana to Vishwarupa, what is the result of Vishwarupa Upasana? The Vishalata or the expansion of the mind, subtlification of the mind to receive that final knowledge of Brahma, Jiva Aikyam, Ishvara Jiva Aikyam. So the result or the phalam of the Upasana Yoga is what? Ultimately, Chitta Naischalyam, Chitta Vishalata, which is absolutely necessary. Okay, so then the third aspect which is discussed here is what? Ishvara Kripa or grace. Ishvara's grace. What was it in the first chapter? First 6 chapters, first Shatkam, self effort. Okay, Uddharet Atmanatman. But here what it is? It is Bhagwan's grace. With Upasana, I have already prepared my mind sufficiently by Karma Yoga, by Ekarupa Ishvara Bhakti. I have sufficiently understood what is the meaning of Atma and Atma Viveka. Sufficiently I have understood that I am not the body, mind, sense complex, but I am that Sakshi Chaitanya Atma. Not fully, but sufficiently I have understood. And in Upasana Yoga, what happens? Bhagwan brings to this Vishwarupa Upasaka or the Upasaka, in the Upasana Yoga, it is second 6th chapter. What does he bring? He takes us to the level of Akshara Upasana, or he brings in this knowledge, Jnana Deepena Bhasvata, Aham Tva Ajnanam Nashayishyami. Krishna said, your Ajnana I will destroy. How? By bringing you this light of knowledge. Jnana Deepena Bhasvata, all your Ajnana will be removed by me. And what will I do? I am your Samuddharta. If you remember 10th chapter, 11th chapter, I am your Samuddharta. I will lift you up from this samsara, mrityu samsara sagarat, samudharta aham bhavami. I will be the samudharta. I will lift you up from this samsara sagara. How? By bringing this light of knowledge. Nashayishyami tava ajnanam atmadipena jnanadipena bhasvata. Atmajnana bhasvata, that knowledge I will give you. Ishvara's grace. So the second 6 chapters of the second Shatkam is talking about Ishvara Swarupam as Jagat Karanam Ishvara, and taking the Jagat as the support. Ultimately, Krishna shows that though I am the Jagat Karanam, I am in no way affected by the Jagat. I am in no way tainted by the Jagat. I remain unsullied, untainted, nirvikari, niranjana, atmaswarupa, para prakriti, mine. So, ultimately, who am I? Ishvara. I am also atmaswarupa. And the prakriya used was this. The result of, what was the upasana given? The upasana was, what was the sadhana given? Upasana yoga. And what is the result of upasana yoga? Chitta naishchalyam, chitta vishalata. So the first 6 and the second 6 chapters, that means the first shatkam and the second shatkam, revealed or dealt with very, very systematically the way the Upanishad teaches this Atmajnana. Because it is whatever teaching Bhagwan is given, mainly Bhagavad Gita is a moksha shastra. Therefore, as moksha shastra, Bhagwan has to follow, and he is following the Upanishadic method of teaching this Atma Jnanam. Of course, in Bhagavad Gita, there are other things also. Though it is predominantly a moksha shastra, there are other things like swakarma, swadharma, lot of other things are there. But then what is the ultimate teaching of Bhagavad Gita? Sarvopanishado gavaha dogda gopalanandana. So the whole Bhagavad Gita is nothing but moksha jnanam. What does it give us? Moksha. And ultimately, Bhagwan has his main content of teaching as per the Upanishadic teaching. So now we understood that the first 6 chapters were Tvam Padartha Vishaya. The second 6 chapters were Tat Padartha Vishaya. Now, just knowing that I am this Atma, Pratyagatma, Sakshi Chaitanya Atma, Ishvara is nothing but Paraprakriti, Brahman or Atma. Is that enough? Is it going to remove my dukkha, shoka, moha, bhaya, vishada? No, it is not going to remove that. What is it that really transforms is this knowledge called as Aikya Jnanam. What is the Aikya Jnanam? That Paramarthataya, from the point of view of this consciousness or Atma, I am not different from Ishvara or Brahman. Brahman is not different from me. What is the difference? The difference is only in the upadhi. My upadhi is this one body, mind, sense complex. Ishvara's upadhi is the entire Jagat. Bhagwan, Ishvara is Sarvajnah Sarvavid. I, because of my limited upadhi, limited buddhi, who am I? Alpajnaha Alpavid. But where are these Bhedas? All these Bhedas are in the upadhi, which is anatma. Even the body of Ishvara as the Jagat is anatma. What is Ishvara? What is Brahman? The very Prara Prakriti or that very Atma, which is the very content of this entire universe, is Ishvara Swarupa. Similarly, the very content consciousness of this individual body is nothing but I, the Jiva Swarupa. And what is it that the Upanishads try to give us the ultimate level of teaching? Equating the Jiva Swarupa with Ishvara Swarupa by a process called as Mahavakya Vichara. Okay, I'm taking a little longer time in giving the introduction to the 13th chapter onwards because here again there is a drastic change in the teaching that you will see. So here what is going to be dealt here from the 13th chapter is, as per the Upanishads, Tvam Padartha, the left hand side of the equation, is now established, worked out, derived, and the final answer of Tvam Padartha is Atma, Sakshi Chaitanya Atma. Right side of the equation is what? The Jagat is analyzed and Ishvara Swarupa is analyzed and worked out and derived, and the final answer of Atma is God. And what is the meaning of Mahavakya? Great equation. An equation means that when two things look superficially different, but they are essentially the same, then you need an equation, correct? Isn't it? Supposing you have an equation called 9 equals 9. There is no need of an equation because both the sides of the equation are the same. There is no need for an equation to prove that. Supposing you say 13 equals 25, equation is not possible because they are not the same. But when superficially the two sides look different, but when you derive and work out, you come to a common answer that left side of the equation and right side of the equation are one and the same. This is called as the Aikya Vichara. And what is this Aikyam? How it is proved? By taking this equation called as Mahavakya Vichara, which is very loosely translated into English as the great equation. The great equation, Mahavakya, the great equation. And what is it that is taught here in Mahavakya Vichara? In Mahavakya Vichara, it is taught that that left this side, or you, the Tvam Padartha, which looks to be limited, which looks to be born, which looks to be changing constantly and disappearing one day, that body mind sense complex is not the real you, but it is that najayate na mriyate kadachit, that Atma, that consciousness, that Sakshi Chaitanya, you on one side, and that Jagat Karanam Brahma, whose very Swarupam is Atma on the other side. These two are one and the same. And this is the final knowledge which really releases me, the jiva, from all my limitations. Where are the limitations? The limitations are in my body. The limitations are in my mind. The limitations are in my intellect. The limitations are in my ahankara. Correct? Whereas I, the Sakshi Chaitanya Atma, is as unlimited as Bhagwan or Brahman. Ishvara. Now, slowly, Bhagwan starts going to that term Brahman. Okay, so Jiva, Brahma, Aikya as mere consciousness Swarupam is the topic of this chapter. So, what is the first thing in from 13th to 18th? This entire Shatkam, it talks about what? The oneness, the essential oneness between Jiva and Ishvara. And what is the prakriya that is used? What is the modality of teaching that is used? Mahavakya Vichara is used as the way it is explained. And it is a great prakriya. Mahavakya Vichara is not simply saying Tattvamasi. We have lot of, entire Upanishad is full of Mahavakyas. But our scriptures take 4 sample Mahavakyas which talk about the essential oneness between Jiva and Brahman, and they are taken to represent one Veda each. But in teaching of this Jiva Brahma Aikyam, the most important Mahavakya which is used for teaching is that which comes from Chandogya Upanishad, Samaveda Upanishad, Chandogya Upanishad, which is called as Tat Tvam Asi. This is the great equation. Tat, that Brahman, Tvam, you Jiva, are essentially the same. You are that. Tat, Tvam, Asi. Asi means are. It is not saying you were Brahman or you are going to become Brahman. This knowledge is not going to make you Brahman. This knowledge is only going to make you understand that you are never different from Brahman. Even as an Ajnani, you are Brahman. The problem is you don't know that. And what is the Shastra doing? The Shastra or Vedanta is not teaching me anything new. It is only removing my ignorance and revealing my reality to myself. That is why it is a darshanam. It brings the mirror in front of me. Look, your eyes can see everything else in the world, but your eyes cannot see themselves. So, Shastra says, you see everything else in this Jagat. You cognize everything, but may you understand that you are that knower itself. You have no way of knowing yourself unless I bring in a mirror, Shastra, darshanam, and show you that you are that knower itself. You are the knower, everything else is known. Then who are you? This body also is known by you, so you cannot be this body. This mind is known by you, you can't be the mind. Correct? It is very easy for us to say, I am not the world because the world is different from me. But what about my own body, mind, sense complexes? I can see, I can feel my body with all my senses. Correct? I can understand my sense organs, my prana, my mind, my emotions, my thoughts, my knowledge, my ignorance, everything I know. Who is that knower? This knower consciousness, Sakshi Chaitanya Atma, is the real you, and you did not know that. Now you understand that you, that Sakshi Chaitanya Atma, is that consciousness which is called as Brahman. And what is this Brahman? Jagat Karanam Brahma, and that which is the Adhishtanam of everything. And therefore, who are you? Tat Brahma or Ishvara, Tvam Jivaha Asi. This is what is called as the Mahavakya Vichara and the final Tatparya of all Vedanta. That is why Bhagwan Shankaracharya, when he writes his Bhashya to Bhagwan Vyasacharya's Brahma Sutra, the fourth sutra is called as Tat tu Samanvayat. Tat tu Samanvayat. That means what? Jiva Brahma Aikya is the very Samanvaya, the very summary of all Vedantic teaching. There may be 1008 Upanishads or 108 Upanishads or 10 Upanishads. The number does not matter. What is ultimately taught in all these entire Vedanta Shastra, what is talked about is this Jiva Brahma Aikya. Now, how does this knowledge free me from my confusion, sorrow, fear, my vishada, whatever it is? That samsari that I think I am, limited samsari, this knowledge transforms me. Therefore, this transformed individual has been explained in every chapter as Sthita Prajna. Correct? Now, if this knowledge has to transform me, the Jiva Brahma Aikya Jnanam has to transform me, then what should there be? The things that I should, again, my mind should be prepared for it in the form of sadhana. So here Bhagwan says that the sadhanas here are in the form of developing values. Okay, your mind is already adequately shuddha, it is cleared. There is adequate chitta naishchalyam, there is adequate chitta ekagrata, there is adequate chitta vishalata. Now, what do you need? You need to make this mind subtler by imbibing certain values which make your mind very, very fit to receive this knowledge. And these values are called as jnanam or instruments of knowledge by Lord Krishna in this third Shatkam. Okay, so what is the third Shatkam talking about? Number one, Aikya Vichara. First Shatkam was Tvam Pada Vichara. Second Shatkam was Tat Pada Vichara. The third Shatkam is Aikya Vichara. Okay, the sadhanas for Tvam Pada Artha, sadhana, karma yoga. For Tat Padartha, avagati or knowing it, sadhana is what? Upasana. For Aikya Jnana, to understand this Aikyam, what is the sadhana? In the form of values, mind to be made subtle and more receptive for this knowledge in the form of a number of values which are going to be talked about. And then, so what is the ultimate result of this knowledge? The result of this knowledge is nothing but transformation or freedom. How is this freedom? What is this freedom called? Moksha. So let me give you an example of what this moksha means. Now let us take an example of a big ocean in which there are waves that are coming. The ocean is big. It is there all the time. Okay. And from it, various waves are happening, and the waves are there arising, existing for some time, colliding with each other, fighting with each other, or going with other waves for some time, and ultimately disappearing. Okay. Now, a wave can feel the limitation of itself because, oh, what? The ocean is so big and I'm so small. I'm just arising here. I'm born and in a short time I'm gone. I'm not there at all. The fear will be there. The depression will be there. Sorrow will be there. Confusion will be there for the wave. Now let us think of ourselves as the wave and the ocean as Ishvara. So I'm always afraid as an individual, afraid of what is going to happen because everything is uncertain here as an individual, like an individual wave. But what does the Mahavakya Vichara tell the wave? It says, look, you, the individual wave, may be limited in size because of your upadhi, but what are you? By content, paramarthikataya, you are nothing but water. The wave is nothing but water. Similarly, what is this samudram? It may look very big. It may look as if you are arising in it and you are going back into it. You may be afraid of the very samudra itself. But what is the very content of this samudra? Water. Correct? So, water is the swarupam of the ocean. Water is the swarupam of the wave. Therefore, wave is nothing but ocean. Ocean is nothing but wave. The wave is a mere manifestation, a name and form in the same water. The samudra is again a name and form and manifestation in the same water. What is the content of the wave? Water. What is the content of samudra? Water. When the wave knows this, all the fear is gone because what is limited is only my upadhi, which is anyway going to be limited, which anyway has come and which has to disappear. But ultimately, who am I? I am that water itself, which is the very swarupam of the ocean also, the samudra also. Similarly, this jnanam, tattvamasi or aikya jnanam, what does it do? Same way as the wave understands that it is nothing but water, the ocean is nothing but water, there is nothing to fear. Temporarily, I, the water, manifest as a wave, come and go. And for a longer time, I, the water, manifest as the samudra. No difference between me and samudra. Same thing is told to us, the human beings, as you, the jiva, is nothing but that consciousness. Satchitananda Rupa Atma. Jagat or Ishvara or Brahman is nothing but that consciousness. Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, Brahma. There is no difference between you and Brahman essentially. Paramarthikataya, there are no two things. Vyavaharikataya, experientially, there are multiple things. Many things are there. But Paramarthikataya, everything is one. The Swarupam of the Jagat, the Swarupam of Ishvara, the Swarupam of the Jiva. Jiva, Jagat, Ishvara are nothing but three different manifestations of the same consciousness. And this is the transformation which frees me from all my limitations, not the limitations of the body. It will remain. Limitations of my mind will remain. But the feeling or the idea that I'm a limited being, I'm a useless being, I can't do anything properly, I can't think properly, I'm not as good as that person, I'm not as good as this person, I'm afraid of Ishvara, all that is gone. I'm freed from my confusion. sorrow, shoka, raga, shoka, moha, which is nothing but the Vishada, which came in the very first chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Arjuna Vishada. I am free from that Vishada. And when I am free from that Vishada, who am I? I am a Mukta Purusha. That freedom is called as moksha. Moksha is not something that I get newly. It is not something that is brought home. Moksha is something that already I am. I am the Mukta Purusha. I am already free. This feeling of bondage, this feeling of being limited was only something which was by myself brought upon myself. Actually, Paramarthikataya, I am that consciousness, I am that Jnana Swarupa, Sat Swarupa, Ananda Swarupa, Atma. And what is Ishvara or Brahman? Sat Swarupa, Chit Swarupa, Ananta Swarupa, Atma Yeva. This is the transformative knowledge. So, the last Shatkam is the most important, which brings the, the Purnatvam or the, the overall winding up of the study of the two Padarthas. The Tvam Padartha and the Tat Padartha are brought together. In what way? To show us that the Tat and Tvam were never separate from each other. They were always one and the same. It is my avidya, it is my ignorance, it is my confusion that made me feel that I, the Jiva, is different from Ishvara or Brahman. This is the ultimate teaching of all Vedanta. All the Upanishads ultimately teach the same thing. So here in this in this last Shatkam, we have got the 13th chapter, which talks about again what is that consciousness which is known as the Kshetrajna or the Pratyagatma or Atma, Dehi. What is that consciousness? How is it that is it only in you, one Jiva, or is it the same consciousness in all the beings and in everywhere? And how this knowledge of this Ekatvam, how it helps. That is the 13th chapter. And in the 13th chapter itself, the upasana or the values, guna adhanam, the value adhanam, the absorbing of the values which are necessary to make this mind capable of understanding this knowledge in the form of amanitvam, adambitvam, ahimsa, kshantihi, arjavam, acharyopasanam, shaucham, atma vinigraha. All these things, 20 or 21 values are talked about by Bhagwan here, which make this mind more subtle and mature, more mature to receive this mature knowledge. Then the 14th chapter and 15th chapter also talk about the same Atma, the same Brahman, Jiva, Swarupa, Ekatvam Atma, as that which is Nirguna, that which is Nirvikara, 14th and 15th. And the values that we talked about as Amanitvam, Adambitvadi, these values are given in more detail in the form of Daivi Sampatti and Asuri Sampatti in the 16th chapter, as different forms of Shraddha, as Shraddhatraya, again based on the three gunas in the 17th chapter. And 18th chapter is ultimately the conclusion. And therefore, in these three, in this third Shatka, we see Aikya Vichara, Guna Adhanam, value imbibing as the sadhana. And here, Jnana Yoga is the one, Jnana Yoga is the one which is the prakriya used here. What is Jnana Yoga? Jnana Yoga is that, so it was first Karma Yoga, Upasana Yoga, here Jnana Yoga. Jnana Yoga is that which is used here to get this knowledge into me. And the prakriya used here is what? Atma, Brahma, Aikya Vichara, Mahavakya Vichara. Okay, so Atma Anatma Viveka was the prakriya used in the first 6 chapters, correct? And then Jiva Swarupa, Ishvara Swarupa, where Ishvara is described as that entire Paraprakriti Adhishtanam using the Adhyaropa Apavada Prakriya was used in the second Shatkam. The third Shatkam uses Mahavakya Vichara as done in all Vedanta. And therefore, this is going to be now our study of the third Shatkam, much more subtle than the previous two. At the same time, very beautifully explained by Lord Krishna, going exactly by the way an Upanishad teaches this Atma Vidya, because predominantly Bhagavad Gita is Moksha Jnanam. So, with this, we'll just chant. I have taken a long time for the introduction of the last Shatkam and the 13th chapter, only because I want all of us to see, to understand how Bhagavad Gita is developed, how the whole development of Bhagavad Gita is in keeping with Shastra, in keeping with Vedanta Shastra, how the whole thing is unfolded. And the ingenuity of Lord Krishna is that in between this, he's putting in so many things. So many things he's talking about. He's talking about discipline as far as food is concerned, discipline as far as sleeping is concerned. So many things he's talking about. That is, the ingenious way of presentation of the same thing, adding so many other, vibhutis to it, and making the whole Bhagavad Gita as something which can be understood by any mumukshu at any level of sadhana. This is the importance of Bhagavad Gita. Nobody can directly go to an Upanishad, but a person with a sufficient preparation of the mind can understand Bhagavad Gita to a large extent if the person really commits himself or herself to what Bhagwan is saying. So now we will just go to the 13th chapter. Atha Trayodashodhyayah. In this also, most of the books, or it actually starts with Bhagavanu Vacha only, where he's explaining certain vocabulary, certain Shastra Paribhasha. But then in many books, it starts as a question from Arjuna, and it's very useful for us to have this question, though it is not there in the original. But then later on, probably some acharyas would have added it for easier understanding of what is taught in this chapter. So, what is the first verse? If you take it as the first verse, it's okay. But otherwise, also, we can take it as an introduction to the 13th chapter, where Arjuna is asking, Prakritim Purusham Chaiva Kshetram Kshetrajnyamev cha Yetad Veditumichhami Jnanam Gneyam cha Keshava. Hey Keshava, I want to know certain terms, what they mean. What is the meaning of Prakriti? What is the meaning of Purusha? You have talked about it earlier. Dve Prakriti, you talked about Para Prakriti, Apara Prakriti. Then you said you are the Purusha in every being. So, what is this Prakriti? What is this Purusha? I have also heard that there is a term called Kshetra and Kshetrajna. It was not used by Bhagwan in all these 12 chapters. Now he is going to use it. So, Arjuna is asking, Kshetram Kshetrajnam evacha veditum ichhami, jnatum ichhami. I want to know what is this Kshetram, what is the meaning of Kshetram, what is the meaning of Kshetrajna, and also I want to know what is the meaning of Jnanam and Neyam. Okay, what is this Jnanam? What is the instrument of this knowledge by which one can really absorb this knowledge well? What is Nyayam? What is it to be known? What is that which I should know as far as the Mahavakya Vichara is concerned? What is this Prakriti which you talked about? Yes, you have explained to me. But then, what is the difference between Prakriti and Purusha? Are they one and the same? Or are they two different realities? Or is one Satya, one Mithya? What is it, Bhagwan? Tell me. What is Prakriti? What is Purusha? What is Kshetram? What is Kshetrajna? What is Jnanam? What is Neyam? Arjuna has presented three sets of two each. Prakriti Purushaha, Kshetra Kshetrajnaha, and Jnanam Gneyam. These three groups of two each are presented by Arjuna as a question to Lord Krishna. And Yetat Veditum Ichhami. Now I want to know what these are. And this question gives Krishna an opportunity to bring the Mahavakya Vichara and talk about the Vedanta Samanvaya, the final purport or the central teaching of Vedanta, which is nothing but Tat Tvam Asi Mahavakya. So, this question gives an opportunity for Krishna to start the teaching from the 13th chapter till the end of 18th chapter, till almost the end of 18th chapter, as to about this Mahavakya Vichara as the ultimate Atmajnanam, Brahmajnanam, Atmavidya, Brahmavidya, Tattvajnanam, Tattvavidya. All these are one and the same. And here Mahavakya Vichara is going to be discussed in detail, but in a very, very simple form. So with this, we'll conclude, and from the next class, we'll start the chapter as such. And for this 13th chapter, I may probably take one or two classes more than what I have taken in the previous chapters, because there is a sudden change here of the teaching, and the teaching becomes more subtle because Mahavakya Vichara is discussed here. ॐ नन्दन्तु साधका सर्वे विनश्यन्तु विदूषकाः अवस्थाशाम्भवी मेस्तु प्रसन्नोऽस्तु गुरुः सदा सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखमाप्नुयात् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय